Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday. Happy Sunday. I hope you are having a wonderful weekend. And Draftkings and FanDuel finally got it right. We have 14 games, I believe, today, but it's broken down with a showdown slate. Then you get a 5-game afternoon/early evening slate. And then you get an 8-game night slate. I like it. I think that's how it should be. And then you also have a 3-game later slate as well, broken up into that 8-game slate. So a lot of options to play today. I do enjoy it. There is a ton of news. Teams now have locked up spots that they can't move out of for the playoffs. Teams now are completely shutting it down for the season with only, 1 or 2 days left of the NBA season. So a ton of things are going to be happening today. I'm trying to keep you here up to the news. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Sal. Welcome. You're here right before the NBA regular season ends. I'll be covering NBA playoffs, as well as transitioning into a little bit more baseball during the summer as the NBA season dwindles to an end. So I want to give you as much value as possible. Let's start with the injury news, then we'll go into the target offense sheet. I'll talk about the 8-game slate primarily in terms of my interest, but we'll briefly cover the 5-game slate as well. And what you're seeing here in terms of the NAs next to the team and the opponent, that's just because they're not on the 8-game slate. So you're seeing this 5-game slate injury news first. Let's just quickly break it down. So Darren Collinson is questionable today. Keep an eye on that. Corey Joe, Tyreek Evans will get minutes bumps. Marvin Williams, and hit the like button also. Give me a like. Come on, there's a lot of work on a Sunday. You know, we got 13 games here. Marvin Williams is out once again. Frank Kaminsky, who saw the biggest bump last game, should also see that. You probably will see Michael Kidd-Gilchrist continuing to draw some starts as well. Cody Zeller out. You'll see the same exact guys getting bumps. Willie Hernan-Gomez as well. Marco Bellinelli, questionable today. Bertans would see a little bit of a bump, nothing major there. Blake Griffin came back and just went bonkers. He's probable today, so nothing really to worry about. Luka is out once again. I imagine that is the end of the Luka Doncic Rookie of the Year season, in my opinion. Luka is out once again, so you're going to get Jalen Brunson, who's actually starting, and Dwight Powell, who will be playing, or at least playing today. I don't know about starting, but I imagine they start. Trey Burke still has a little bit of value based on the fact that Luka is out, but not a ton. Mike Conley is doubtful. Joakim Noah is questionable. If Noah is in, he is a nice play. If he is out, Ivan Robb remains the guy who's going to start there. Conley being doubtful. DeLon Wright, who just went triple-double city, is still in play. Price coming up, though, and Tyler Dorsey still in play. Avery Bradley remains out, keeps those guards in play. Luke Kennard probable, nothing there really. Maxi Kleber out. This is going to give a bump to Dwight Powell. Should see, as long as they're not limiting his minutes, around 34 minutes with Kleber out. Taj Gibson is doubtful today. You know what to do there. Dario Saric, Anthony Tolliver, no real impact for fantasy. Kevin Love is probable today. Well, maybe not probable. He's off the injury report. So we'll see if that means he's probable in playing. If so, you give a bump down to Larry Nance, who should still get pretty big minutes, though, because Tristan Thompson has been ruled out for rest. So Nance, with his price coming up, is still a fine play. And Kevin Love, I don't know what the exact price is on the 5-game slate, but he factors to be a nice play today. Nick Stauskas is questionable. Matthew Dellavedova is out. If Stauskas is out, he's only playing around 10, 12 minutes a game. But it is still pretty big because they're already thin, or at least somewhat thin at the guard. So Brandon Knight should get his minutes pretty stabilized around 25 in terms of a value play. And Jordan Clarkson should also see now around 31 to 32. So that's the 5-game slate. Not a ton there. Well, there is a ton based on a 5-game slate. But now let's just break down and start chatting about this 8-game slate. So like I said, lots of injury news here, lots of players just resting more so than not. I like the 8-game slate. I have not broke down into the 5-game slate myself. I did the projections for the 8-game slate. And the reason I'm going to focus on it, more games, I think that it just gives you more options to be different, more options to actually I think, like I said, pretty much just be different, right? You can build different lineups than other people. You won't have to worry about overlapping. If you're going to win, you probably won't be splitting it because you can be different. And also, those games start 4 hours after that slate starts, so just more people will get to see the video. But I hope that it helps. I'll jump on a live stream probably after this to talk a little bit about the 5-game slate. So in Washington versus New York, both teams pretty dreadful. We have Bradley Beal's minutes coming down. Played 31 in the last game. Before that, he played in the 20s, I think maybe even 22. So he's not playing too much. Jabari Parker is questionable today. This is actually pretty big because they already have Trevor Ariza out. If Jabari Parker sits, you're going to have Jeff Green, who Jabari Parker has been sitting. It looked like his injury was pretty bad. I imagine he sits here. You're going to get Jeff Green playing some minutes. You're going to get still mid-30s minutes for Troy Brown, who is absolutely dreadful in terms of fantasy. You're going to get more elevated minutes for Bobby Portis, and they're going to be more secure around the 32 range. Thomas Bryant, 35, you can pretty much count on here. Against New York, Mitchell Robinson, a very good defender in his own right. So not the greatest matchup for Bryant, whose price is coming up. But that is the impact there. An Achilles injury has an E on it. Spelled that wrong. I don't know why I just popped that out. Probably still going to spell it wrong. I think there might be another I. Oh, well. Jordan McRae, been seeing around mid-20s in minutes with Bradley Beal's minutes coming down. It is a nice spot. If McRae is out, you could look down even more on that depth chart. Potentially Chasing Randle sees some run against New York. Nothing that I really loved there. Derek Favors has been ruled out again. So a lot of things in Utah here, and let's keep a close eye on this. So Derek Favors is out. Ricky Rubio is out. Kyle Korver is out. And Raul Neto is out. So what this means is the top 3 point guards for this team, at least by position, are out because we already have, I can't even remember his name now. Let me go to their team because now this is going to bug me a little bit. We've had for a while now Dante Exum. Yep, Dante Exum has been ruled out for a while now. His season was shut down probably about a month, 3 weeks ago. So you're going to get Grayson Allen, who played 26 minutes in the last game, was pretty productive, averaged over a point per minute, a 1-game sample, but still. And he's going to be 3,500. So he becomes an interesting value play in terms of point guard. I don't know who they started in the last game. I would imagine probably Donovan Mitchell got point guard run at the starter position. But if Grayson Allen's going to see his minutes getting bumped up, and why not at this point, against the Lakers, who are dreadful, right behind the Hawks in terms of being the worst team defending the point guard position, it makes Grayson Allen attractive at $3,500 on a slate where there is value and you can get up. So Grayson Allen's at least in play, and he becomes very interesting to me if we get news that he does start. Donovan Mitchell, great play because of all this news. You're going to have Ricky Rubio out. That bumps Mitchell automatically. Then he gets to face the Lakers. I think it's a great matchup for him. And Joe Ingles, when there's no real point guard out there, now maybe Grayson Allen will be that point guard for them, but Joe Ingles takes over a lot of point guard roles in terms of his minutes. I see him getting around 33 to 34 today in terms of minutes, and I wouldn't be shocked if 12 or 14 of those minutes are him controlling the point to some extent. Derek Favors being out, Jay Crowder has a great matchup as well today as long as he plays. He is questionable. Or he might be probable. I think he's questionable, though. Going over to Sacramento and New Orleans, we'll talk about this game, a very attractive game overall. Fox came out after playing only 8 minutes. He is probable for today. McCollum, if we go over to Portland and Denver, a couple of things here to hit on. From the Portland side, and we'll just go, this is kind of like alphabetical, so it's going to be different. It's not going to be the same game back to back. The Portland side, CJ McCollum is back healthy. I imagine they don't try and give him too much run, although the playoffs are coming up, so maybe they want to give him some run and just get him back into shape before the playoffs. I think that's reasonable. I think I have him only projected for 32 minutes today, around when he should usually be playing 34. And it is a decent matchup because you're going to get Jamal Murray, you're going to get Millsap and Jokic, which we'll talk about, all out today. So the defense becomes a lot worse for this team. Seth Curry probable, but he's no real major factor now that McCollum is back. For Phoenix, you're going to get TJ Warren remaining out. You're going to get DeAndre Ayton remaining out. And Rashawn Holmes is questionable, leaning more so towards probable, I believe. So keep an eye on that. He will be the starter. Price does not change at $6,200. Not the greatest matchup in the world, but again, if you're trying to get there, he is questionable. New York, Emmanuel Mudiay is doubtful. Alonzo Trier is out. Kadeem Allen is out. And Dennis Smith Jr., who they are limiting his minutes when he has played the past few weeks, is questionable. Will I push Dennis Smith Jr. back today to play 18 minutes? I wouldn't. So if this is the case, you're probably going to get Mario Hezonja starting at point guard once again. Even if Dennis Smith Jr. is probable, he might come off the bench like we've seen when he's played the last few times. So I think Hezonja gets a start here. I have him projected for 35 minutes against this dreadful Washington team that now has Bradley Beal limited in minutes, potentially Jordan McRae out. He's going to be going up against Chasing Randle and Thomas Satoransky, both very, very not good defenders. Put that one in your dictionary. So Hezonja, I just don't see how you get away from him. The price has come up a good amount. He's $5,600, but he's a guy, if you ever watch, and I was talking to somebody in the Discord today, if you ever watch him play, he's not looking to pass the ball. If you watch the triple-double, he gets the ball, he's looking to drive, he's looking to stare somebody down and just shoot a fadeaway. He is not looking to pass the ball ever. So he's going to shoot, and this is a very ideal matchup. I hate recommending him, but look, it's 2 days left in the NBA season. Even with the price where it's at, I think he's a very viable play in terms of being probably a point guard once again today and seeing big minutes. Noah Vonleh remains out, so either way, I think even if he's not at the point guard, Hezonja will find his time today. It seems like they're just going to run him out as much as they can. He's not probably part of this future, or maybe he is. I don't know what these Knicks are doing. But with Vonleh out, you're going to see more minutes for Thomas and Luke Cornett, and I don't know why Luke Cornett's just not playing. He is by far the better and more productive player, more fun to watch, make shots, take shots. Lance Thomas does not, but Thomas started the last game. Keep an eye on who starts at the 4. If it is Luke Cornett, I do have interest. For the New Orleans side of the Sacramento game, you're going to have Stanley Johnson out, Frank Jackson remains out, and Anthony Davis, drumroll please, is probable. I saw Fantasy Labs put probably with parentheses out. He's been probable for like the last 3 games and then ruled out. I have him in the projections as out right now. I just don't even want to deal with it when he gets ruled out 5 minutes before the game. So the effects there, you've seen Jahlil Okafor getting low to mid minutes. I have him projected for 22, I think, or 23 today. You're going to get a guy like Christian Woods, whose DraftKings put his price up real quick, and it seems like the Pelicans realized that DraftKings put his price up because then he just didn't start hitting value because he just didn't start playing minutes. I have him projected, I think, for 18 today. Chuck Diallo got in the 20s last game. I have him projected for right around where Christian Wood is, 18 to 20 minutes. But it could really go any way between those two. So yeah, that's really it from the New Orleans side. Lakers, Kyle Kuzma, we get the early thing that he is out, the early news that he is out. So Mo Wagner should be getting the start at the 4, seeing around 21 to 22 minutes. Reggie Bullock is questionable. If he is out, give a bump to your Alex Caruso, 60 burgers in fantasy last time out. Give a bump to your 32 to 34 minutes in Caldwell Pope. For the Clippers, a good amount of news here. You're going to get Pat Beverly doubtful, Gallinari doubtful, blah. So you're going to get JaMychal Green starting for Gallinari here, probably playing, I believe, 26 minutes. I have him projected for today. He is probable for a personal matter for his injury report, I guess you can say, or just news. So it's going to be good for him. Should see 26 minutes against a Golden State team. Not the best of matchups, but he is only $4,300. $4,700 Pat Beverly being out. Bump to guys like Lou Williams. Should see closer to 30 minutes, if not more. Bump to Garrett Temple. Should see closer to the high 20s instead of the low 20s. For Houston, you're going to get Daniel House Jr. probable today. Nothing real there. His price is cheap. If you want to throw a dart, there's much better value, though. For Golden State, Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala are questionable. Just tertiary options at best, so nothing really there. Big news here, Denver. And let's try and get the rest of the news up here. There we go. So Denver, Jokic, Paul Millsap, and Murray. Probably the 3 best players on this team. You can argue that if you want, but probably the 3 best players on this team are all out today for rest. It makes sense. They are locked into the 2 seed, I believe. There's no reason for them to really try here. So with that being said, and I believe Portland is still battling for playoff seeding, so that could be interesting, or holding on to it. So that helps them a lot. But we have not seen Jokic resting with these 2 guys all year. We have seen Paul Millsap rest this year. We have seen Murray miss with injuries. So now you have 64 minutes, roughly, give or take a minute or two, between Jokic and Millsap to give to the bigs on this Denver team. We were loving getting to play cheaper, below 5K, below 4K, Trey Lyles and Mason Plumlee earlier in the year when only Millsap was out, and there's 32 minutes to go around. Now you're going to add another 32 to 34 minutes in Jokic being out, and those guys become even more attractive, and their prices are exactly where we like to target them. Jamal Murray being out makes Monty Morris a little interesting. Isaiah Thomas, who's been getting some run after them saying he's been shut down, he got run a couple minutes, but it's going to be more so Monty Morris for me in terms of he should be the guy seeing around 30 minutes and starting in this game. So yeah, Denver is where the hub of value is right now in terms of real productive value. CJ McCollum being back scares me a little bit in terms of the defense, makes Monty Morris, makes Malik Beasley, Gary Harris not as great of plays, but their prices are just too hard to get away from for me. We will talk in depth about that soon. Boston, Jaylen Brown is doubtful. Al Horford is probable. And Terry Rozier is questionable. So, I mean, Jaylen Brown being out gives a bump to Al Horford, gives a bump still to Tatum and Gordon Hayward. And you're going to probably see Baines continue to start at the 5. I wonder if they roll this lineup out in the playoffs, but Baines has been pretty productive. Keep an eye on him. For Atlanta, tons of news in Atlanta and lots of things that you're probably going to have to keep an eye on in terms of probably finding more value. Trae Young is questionable for rest. Kent Bazemore is probable. Kevin Huerter is questionable. John Collins is questionable for rest. And DeAndre Bembry is probable. If you get news that Trae Young sits today, DeAndre Bembry quickly becomes a very attractive play, although he is $5,300. When you talk about other plays on this slate, I'd rather play Hazonia at $5,600 in a much better matchup, in my opinion, than against Eric Bledsoe in this Bucks team. There's not a ton of value just because of the pricing here. You get Kent Bazemore at $3,900, so if both Collins and Trae Young are out, that is attractive to me. Deontay Davis would become more attractive in terms of low 20s in minutes for a cheap center type option. Alex Len should get a bump closer to 30 minutes if Collins is out. But overall here, if these guys are out, I think it just muddies the water a little bit, and I tend to avoid it or want to avoid it because you're going to be getting, yes, Trae Young's 33 minutes will go somewhere else, probably mainly to a Bembry and split up between a Bazemore and whoever else is out there, right? If Horter is out too, it becomes very sticky. Prince becomes a nice option in this game because he should see closer to the mid-30s in minutes if you get news that Trae Young and Horter are out. And Bazemore, like I said, he is $3,900. Justin Anderson, I wouldn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole here. So the guy I lean to is Kent Bazemore here if all these guys are out. I imagine questionable for rest means that Collins and Trae Young will be out. It's not like they're trying to hear on an injury. Just rest them. I still don't get this questionable for resting. I don't even know how that's allowed in the NBA. At least put down soreness or something, right? So Atlanta, Milwaukee, not the greatest matchup by any means unless some of these Milwaukee guys sit. So right there, I'm pausing in terms of the Atlanta value until we get more news. And that's really all you can do. Target offense sheet. So I have it for both. I have it for both slates, and I'm really just going to focus. You guys can take a screenshot. I'll put this on Twitter and in the Discord. Make sure to get in the Discord. There's now 400 people in there, I think, officially. If not, we're like 1 or 2 people away. Get in the Discord. Like this video right now. Hit me up on Twitter. Yeah, all the above. So here we go. Target offense sheet. So this top part right here is the 10 teams, I believe. Yes, the 10 teams that are playing on the 5-game slate starting at 3. So you can look at that if you'd like. Let's make this a little bit smaller. There we go. So I want to focus, though, on this 8-game slate. And I'll blow it up even a little bit more so we can just focus on the 8-game slate. Again, the 5-game slate I'll probably play. Whoa. The 5-game slate I'll probably be playing, but not enough right now at least, or at least in terms of what people want to see, to focus mainly on it. So we'll scroll down to the 8-game slate. Starting with Milwaukee and Atlanta, the thing we were just talking about. Look, Eric Bledsoe, he loves this matchup, or the past 2 matchups that he has had with D'Angelo Russell in Brooklyn, going for 60 bombs. He's in a fantastic spot against Atlanta today. If we get news that Giannis is out, which right now the spread's not indicating that, but even if he was out, I don't think the spread would change that much. That'd probably still be like 7.5 point favorites. If Giannis sits today, it makes Bledsoe that much more better, even at his price point. Even with all the value at guard today, I'm very intrigued to get to Bledsoe. With no Giannis, the guy is just averaging close to 40 fantasy points a game. Now you give him Atlanta, just great matchup in terms of just fantasy goodness for point guards. I like it a lot. Also on Milwaukee, I like Sterling Brown if he continues to start and play close to 30 minutes against this Atlanta team. You can go Pat Connaughton if you wish off the bench, should see close to 30 minutes as well. Outside of that, no real interest for me. If we know that Giannis is starting and we get news that he will not be on a minutes limit, obviously I like Giannis here on an 8-game slate where you can get up to the pay-up options due to the value that we will talk about / have already talked about. Yes, Giannis is always attractive to me. I probably lean James Harden, but Giannis is attractive, especially if he gets his 32 to 34 minutes. I do have a feeling, though, that he would rest again today. I think they might just shut him down. Why not? The playoffs are right around the corner, and you have a realistic chance at getting to the finals, if not competing in the finals this year with the team that you have. So why not, or why push it? So for me right now, it is the guards from Milwaukee. Nothing else there that attracts me too much. The pace, though, is what I should really point out. 109.19. The pace in this game is fantastic. We get 2 teams that have an average pace on the year of 105 possessions per year or more. You're going to get a 4 possession bump for Milwaukee here. You're going to get a 2.5 to 3 possession bump for Atlanta here. Both teams play extremely fast, and it's going to benefit each of them today. A total of 232. Pretty much one of the highest, tied for second. Only the Warriors have a higher total pretty much than Milwaukee with 122. So yeah, if Giannis is out, then other guys become playable. You get DJ Wilson playable, Ersan Ilyasova for value. Lots of things in this game that are going to depend on Giannis. If he is out, I love Eric Bledsoe all day. I like Bledsoe either way, though. But if he is out, Bledsoe becomes one of the guys I want to have the most of today. Sterling Brown, price is still fine. Like I said, either way, I like him. If Giannis is out, I like him a little bit more because his 30 minutes are more guaranteed. Atlanta side of the ball, I can't even say anything about it. There's too many guys that are questionable right now. If all of the guys are in, I have no real interest in anybody. If all of those guys who are questionable, Porter, John Collins, and Trae Young are out, Bembry gets a bump, but he's $5,300. I think I can find better spots, especially when they're going to be going up against Eric Bledsoe. I probably lean more so towards the Kent Bazemore's and maybe looking at an Alex Len if his price, I don't know where it is right now. I probably lean more towards the 3K Kent Bazemore. I still think there's better value than that out there. Alex Len is $5,100. I think that's fine. But yeah, overall, it's going to be the Milwaukee side, and it's going to depend on Giannis. Houston and Phoenix. James Harden. Look, the big 3 here for Houston are all super attractive. You get Clint Capella against Phoenix today. I love that. You get James Harden against this Phoenix team. Clearly love that. And then you get Chris Paul. I love all these matchups against Phoenix, who is just a G League team right now with a Josh Jackson pretty much. Let's look at this, though. 18.5 point spread. I haven't seen something that big all season long, to be honest with you. Phoenix implied for 103 points. Houston, 121.5. If there ever was to be a blowout in the NBA, it would be against the G League, whose best player right now is Josh Jackson, Phoenix team, going up against an MVP candidate, a former MVP candidate in Chris Paul, and a very good center that benefits from those 2 MVP candidates / former MVP candidate. Why don't I just say Harden to Chris Paul? There you go. In Clint Capella. I love all of these guys. I want to have all of these guys. I don't usually take blowouts into account, but with 2 games left in the season, 18.5 point spread, Vegas knows what they're doing here. I would not be shocked if you don't see a single minute being played by James Harden, Chris Paul, or Clint Capella in the fourth quarter. which obviously handicaps them. Now, James Harden can go for 60 points in 3 quarters against this team pretty easily. He can have 45 at the half against this team in terms of fantasy. He could have 50 real points in 3 quarters probably. But it does scare me. I do love all 3 of those guys. It does give bumps to other guys that you would think get more run, like an PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon. Guys from maybe even a Daniel House, if you want to go there. I wouldn't. In terms of just a blowout run, it is scary, 18.5 points. It gives me a lot of pause on a guy like James Harden, who is the best option on the slate in terms of you can get to him because there's value today, and he is going to be projected for 65 fantasy points today. That's if he plays his 35 minutes, which is very much not in the cards. He could easily play 28. He could easily play 30. If he plays 30, I probably still like him. Phoenix side of the ball, nothing here. Rashawn Holmes is 6,200. I do like that, and I do not mind that price, but I think in terms of the rest of the slate, there's better options, mainly in Denver, which we will get to. Josh Jackson, he is still cheap enough for me to enjoy him, but not too cheap that I think he is a must-play, like going back to the well with Mario Hezonja. And then outside of that, there's nothing that I really like here. I don't want to touch any of the guard dust. I think there's better options. New York and Washington, Mario Hezonja, like him. Mitchell Robinson, like him at his price point. I would like Luke Cornett if he's starting at the 4. Very good matchup against Washington in his own right. Kevin Knox, don't sleep on Knox here. He is going to be getting mid-30s in minutes. He is going to take a lot of shots. Hezonja hurts Knox in terms of Hezonja is controlling the point and also takes a lot of shots. Both guys don't really look to pass the ball when they get it. Hezonja, though, getting much more usage at the point. Washington side of the ball, if Jabari Parker is out, give a bump to either way, give a bump to your Troy Brown. Don't really want it. I can see getting around to a Bobby Portis here, especially if Jabari Parker is out. Bobby Portis should be in line for 32 minutes or so. With the price coming up, 7,600 on Thomas Bryant, I still like the matchup. I still like the overall spot for him, but it gives me pause in terms of what the value looks like. I haven't built a lineup yet, but I think that's where I'll be looking to maybe stay away from. I'd probably lean Bobby Portis based on price and just opportunity cost. You could put him in. Well, actually, I take that back. You could put Thomas Bryant, I believe, still in power forward, but just factoring in price overall, I think I like Bobby Portis a little bit better. Boston and Orlando, I'm not even going to stop here. There's nothing I want from this game. Orlando for playoffs in terms of it, they need this. They're still coming down. Brooklyn won yesterday. That helped them out a ton. It's coming down to pretty much Miami and Orlando for that 8 spot. Orlando needs this game. I would not be shocked to see a guy like Kyrie Irving rest today. Vooch is a guy you can go to at 9,600. Should be playing still. He hasn't been getting his 34 minutes over the last 5 games or so, but I think I have him projected for 32, and he still grades out very nicely against his Boston team, especially if Baines continues to start at the 5. Outside of that, no real interest. You could play the other guys, Fournier, Aaron Gordon if you want. I really only recommend Vooch, but from the Boston side, no real interest for me. Golden State, Clippers. I talked about Golden State, or I talked about the Clippers. Garrett Temple is going to get a bump here. You're going to get a big bump for JaMychal Green. Should start at the 4. I do like that at 4,300. That is another value option that makes me want to go away from a Thomas Bryant and some of these other options like a Clint Capella in terms of big men spots to fill in your roster. Garrett Temple becomes decent value, but I think there's just way too much on this slate. I should say that this is the highest total on the slate, pretty much tied with the next one we'll talk about, 235. Golden State has the highest implied total of 124.5. Yeah, there's some things from Golden State that I do like, but not a ton. The spread does scare me a little bit. I think that I lean right here with Boogie Cousins, even if he only plays 26 minutes. A beautiful matchup, the second best matchup on the entire slate outside of New Orleans or Sacramento's matchup versus New Orleans for the center position. I go Boogie Cousins there. He's back. I like him. Keep an eye on if they rest anybody else in this game. But no real interest in this game outside of JaMychal Green for me. You can go Lou Williams, who should see elevated minutes if Beverly is out, or at least some extra minutes. You can go SGA. I think his price is coming up a little bit too high for me. Probably overall a void spot outside of a Boogie Cousins. But again, Boogie Cousins, I think you could find better options. Here is one of the best games, if not the best game, for fantasy today. Sacramento and New Orleans. Both teams, I think these teams recently played, if I remember. Oh, alarm. I think these teams recently played, if I remember. Pace, 108.69, right around that 109 that we were talking about. The game's a little bit closer than that Milwaukee-Atlanta one. Sacramento favored by 9 here. 235.5 total, the highest on the slate. Sacramento, a 122.25 implied total. You get New Orleans with a 113.25. Very good fantasy matchup overall. Lots of options here if they get their minutes. So let's talk about it. Sacramento side, there's a lot I like. You get De'Aaron Fox, 6,900, below 7K in this fast-paced spot. Look, he's coming off an injury. I don't know if they limit his minutes. They do love Yogi Ferrell, and there's really no reason for this guy to continue to play. But he is a competitor, and he likes going up against younger point guards. If you watch any of the games, they always show a stat. And Elfrid Payton's a younger point guard, so he might try and get his run here. 6,900, if we get news that he's starting and we don't not have any worry about a minutes limit, I love him at 6,900. You're going to get below 7K. Also, Buddy Hield today. He's in a fantastic spot. I think he projects for around 40 points today if he plays 34 minutes. I do not mind that whatsoever. I'm just realizing I have all no's in for back-to-backs. That's clearly not the case. I just didn't switch them, like Milwaukee is on a back-to-back today. And I'm sure there's somebody else on a back-to-back today that I'm just not seeing right now. But yeah, we're just not even really paying attention to for the most part. New Orleans and Sacramento, there's a lot of spots that I like. Sacramento, I think if Willie Cauley-Stein is in play today, if he's back, he's worth a look. I'd rather go Marvin Bagley, even if he's coming off the bench. I like Bagley. Bielitsa is a fine play as well. I think his price is down to 4K for Bielitsa, and he's still starting. He's 4K. He's still starting on this team. Look, he's still getting his 20s in minutes. Obviously has not been productive with that, but this is the spot for him to be productive. Decent option there in terms of FanDuel drop or just a value play on DraftKings. In Bielitsa, I think I like Bagley as well. On the flip side, New Orleans, Anthony Davis is probable, but like Fantasy Lab said, he's probably out. So I don't really care too much for Davis. I think Julius Randle, even if he only plays like 25, or not 25, like 28 to 30 minutes, I have him projected for 32. He is a smash play today. I like Randall here. I also like Elfrid Payton, who finally got back on track. Played big minutes, scored over 40 fantasy points. I think he's a fine play here, too. This pace-up spot favors him. Matchup against De'Aaron Fox is a good spot for him. So the New Orleans side of the ball, no real interest in Ian Clark here. No real interest in your Kendrick Williams, the Christian Woods. Jahlil Okafor draws some slight interest if indeed Anthony Davis is out, but not a ton. So Sacramento, if I had to rank them, it would go Fox, Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley, Willie Cauley-Stein for me. Leave Willie Cauley-Stein off that list. Those three guys for me. Bielitsa 4 actually. And then if I want to go onto the New Orleans side of the ball, it is going to be going Julius Randle 1, Elfrid Payton 2, and then Jahlil Okafor probably 3 for me. So let's go on to Portland and Denver. Denver is where the value is today in terms of bigs. You're going to get Trey Lyles at 3,100. I don't know how you avoid it. The guy right now I've projected for 32 minutes. You have 64 minutes to split up. This guy was hitting value in the high 20s, low 30s with just Paul Millsap out. Now you have another 34 minutes to split up elsewhere. They have Hernan Gomez out there. He should see around 20, low 20s in minutes, high teens. So he should soak up pretty much 15 minutes from that 64. So that leaves you with 50. Let's just say it leaves you with 48 minutes to go around. We already have Mason Plumlee, who's been playing 24 minutes. I think he plays an extra 10 today, 34 for him. That still leaves you 38 minutes to go around. Trey Lyles wasn't playing any minutes. He was playing like 6 minutes, if that. If he gets up to 32, there's 26 minutes now. And you still have, if I do the math right, 12 minutes left. Now, I believe that they have, I'm not even going to act like I know the guy's name. I saw it for the first time this morning. I'm not this educated in terms of the depth on these teams. So for big men, they have this Jared Vanderbilt guy. I honestly had no idea who he was. At the min price, he played 5 minutes in the last game. He's been seeing around 5 minutes. So those 12 minutes that are left for big men, give him 5. Do whatever you got to do there. Tyler Lighting's on this team. Is he even on this team? No, he's not. Like, I don't even know how to go. Syracuse guy right there. Like, I don't even know how to go down that much even more. Hernan Gomez might see around 25 minutes. Like, I don't know. I haven't projected for 20 right now. Craig will see some minutes there in terms of forward. Barton surely sees a minute. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that you're going to get a $3,100 Trey Lyles, probably playing 30 minutes, if not 32 to 34, because he has to. I don't know who else does here, and I don't know why they try and play Hernan Gomez for that much more time. You're probably going to get a Mason Plumlee, who is the only probably true center on this team, or that can play the center position that confidently, I guess you can say, playing 35 minutes maybe. I haven't projected for 32, but I think that that's really low. Like I said, he was getting 24 minutes, and now you have their starting center and starting power forward ruled out. I would not be shocked to see, I would not be surprised by any means if you get a 38-minute game out of Mason Plumlee. I believe he's only 4,700. That's where the value lies today. Guys who you know are productive, over point per minute guys in Mason Plumlee. Now being the guy out there getting extended run, not running alongside Paul Millsap like he would, or Jokic. He's going to be the guy in terms of the bigs where the offense is running through. And then Trey Lyles. If these guys start next to each other, I could see Hernan Gomez starting at the 4 and Millsap the 5, or Plumlee the 5. Plumlee will get a start today. I could almost guarantee that. I don't know who starts at the 4. It could be very much Hernan Gomez. It could be Trey Lyles. I would imagine it would be Trey Lyles, but maybe that's not the case. Either way, 3,100. I love Trey Lyles today. He's going to play 30 minutes. He could very easily score 40 for you in just 13x. Outside of that, you're going to have no Murray today either, so it leads me to believe that you're going to get Monty Morris playing low 30s in minutes. He was already playing in the 20s. Now you're going to get a guy in Murray who plays 32 to 33 a game sitting. I imagine that most of those, not most of them, I mean, if you just get out of those 33, 10 going to Monty Morris because he becomes the starter and gets an extra 2 to 3 minutes per quarter run. Right there, you're going to have 32 minutes for Monty Morris. Isaiah Thomas, who, like I said, he got more run out of nowhere. He should see in the teens now. Malik Beasley, who's getting in the high teens, should see in the mid-20s now or low 20s. Gary Harris, you can throw 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You can get Will Barton 2 minutes, 3 minutes. That's where you can really get your bumps. I don't know if I'm missing another guard out there. I know that they have a ton of guards. No, that's it. That's with no Murray. You already had Monty Morris playing. For the most part, I mean, I guess it was all over the place, but for the most part, the low to mid 20s in minutes. I expect that now to go closer to 30 minutes, 32. Will Barton, who was playing mid 20s to high 20s in minutes, should now get closer to 30. Gary Harris has been playing continuous high 20s. He should get closer to 35. I guess Torrey Craig's the guy that we should hit on, and maybe the question mark of them all. Minutes have been coming up as of late, and now you get no Murray, which obviously Torrey Craig will play the 2, he will play the 3, so he should see also a bump. He's only 3,600, another value guy from this team. I imagine he sees highs 20s in minutes today, if not more, having to defend McCollum, having to defend Damian Lillard. So that's scary just because I don't know where to go with the guards. The forwards are obvious. You go to Lyles, you go to Mason Plumlee, and if you really want to take a risk, go to Hernan Gomez at minimum value. You go to the guards. Monty Morris should be the biggest beneficiary, should start, but you're probably going to get some Torrey Craig, upper 20s in minutes. You're going to get some Will Barton, 30s in minutes. Gary Harris, 30s in minutes. Isaiah Thomas, not really a factor. Probably sees closer to 13, 15, somewhere in there. But the point being, this Denver team is where the value lies and the good value lies, and that's where a lot of my lineups will start, but probably at least 2 of these guys, if not more. Let's finish it up now, or actually let's go to the Portland side of the ball. With all these guys out, Millsap and Jokic, they still have some pretty good, now no defensive stars in Lyles and in Hernan Gomez and in Plumlee, but they're still pretty lengthy. But Enes Kanter does have a good matchup, having projected for 28 minutes today. McCollum is back, don't really want to touch it. With McCollum back, it hurts Lillard. I think his price at 9,200 is fine in terms of McCollum being back, but I still don't want to touch it. All the other value guys that have been in Portland are pretty much eliminated now. With the return on McCollum, no real interest there. It would just be Kanter for me. Lakers and Utah. Lakers, Alex Caruso just dropped the 60 bomb. I don't know what the hell to think of that. Rondo should play 32 minutes. McGee's minutes are now all over the place once again. No Kuzma, so you're going to get Mo Wagner, I imagine, starting at the 4, some Lance Steam. It's just gross. On an 8-game slate where there's so much value, I don't need to go to the Lakers with any type of need, especially against Utah. Now Utah's pretty good defenders in Ricky Rubio and potentially, or already Derek Favors are already out, maybe even more when the time comes. Still, I have zero interest in the Lakers today, including Alex Caruso, who's now 6,100. Utah side of the ball, there's interest. I already mentioned Grayson Allen. He's $3,500. He is in a similar category to guys like a Torrey Craig. They're both in the same price point. They both should see extra minutes due to guys in their team resting. Grayson Allen going up against the Lakers, second worst team overall defending the point. It's a very good spot for him. Utah, outside of that, Jay Crowder has a good spot against this Lakers team in the bigs. Rudy Gobert is 9K, but he has a fantastic spot. If he gets the full run, 10.5 point spread here. Utah's implied for 114.25. Very good pace for Utah. Huge pace up spot. They're going to get 3.5, around 3 extra possessions here in this game. So very nice pace up spot. I do like, in this order, it's probably Grayson Allen based on price, number 2, Jay Crowder, and number 3, Rudy Gobert for me. That is the breakdown. I will quickly show you, because this video is probably running long, the early interest for this 8-game slate. And like I always say, these are not picks. These are me early in the morning just putting some guys on here based on players resting on their team, based on just matchup overall. Let me just try and get this so it covers the screen. These are just some guys. So I already mentioned some of them. James Harden gets interest. I got 2 Vooches on here. That's not good. James Harden is the guy in terms of paying up. Him and Giannis, the 2 guys on this slate, both have worries. Will Giannis play? Will he get his full run? He sat yesterday. Second night of a back-to-back. Second day of a back-to-back. I imagine he plays, and if he does, he should be fine. Harden, the most expensive guy on this slate, in a game where his team is favored by 108, or favored by 108. Holy shit. He's favored by 18.5. I love him, though. He's projected for me, I think, in the mid-60s, 64, 65 points, more than his season average of 62. Usage rate, obviously phenomenal in the 40s. I love everything about it. The matchup, the thing I hate, 18.5 point spread. Harden might not touch the floor in the fourth quarter, and it's very realistic late in the season that he doesn't even touch it in the second half. So keep an eye on that. See how you can build your lineups. If you can get up to Harden, take the risk if you want. I probably will, but we'll see. Vooch at 9,600, another interesting spot because he should be getting 32 to 34 minutes, and they need to win still. They have not clinched the playoffs, or at least I don't believe so. Tough matchup for him, though, but you can go there. Julius Randle, 8,700. If Davis is out, which I am imagining so, and that's pretty crazy because he's listed probable, but he is just a jerk, and he's not going to play, and this team is weird. Very high-paced game. The Sacramento game is the game that I would like to target if I wanted a couple players from it. Outside of that Denver value spot, Julius Randle is a guy who's been playing fantastic as of late. $8,700 tag, even if he only plays 30 to 32 minutes, is fine. But I probably lean not going there just because there's so much value at power forward today. If I need to fit him in, or if I land on him, fine. Donovan Mitchell, beautiful matchup today against the Lakers. 8,600. He should play a lot of point guard today. He should control this offense. Hard not to like it. The price is right. Thomas Bryant, 7,600. I might take this one out. I might switch this actually with Bobby Portis the more I broke down into it. His individual matchup with Mitchell Robinson and $800 more than Bobby Portis wasn't as attractive to me. I think he's still fine if you land on him because you're getting a starting center who will play mid-30s in minutes against a pretty shitty overall Knicks team. Bobby Portis, I mean, the interest here is loose for both these guys, but I'll just put it down. 6,800 is a steep price for Bobby Portis. His individual matchup against Lance Thomas or Luke Cornett, though, today is very attractive. Clint Capella and Chris Paul, the other two guys on this Houston team that I love today, but I'm also worried about. Clint Capella cannot have a better matchup here. It's just great against Phoenix. Even if Rashawn Holmes is playing, it's just absolutely fantastic. He should dominate that matchup, and 7,500 is way too cheap. I'll probably get to Capella the most out of these three guys just based on price and based on the position. And that's rare to say because he's only center eligible, but there is a lot of power forwards where the value lies today, in my opinion, and a lot of guards. Chris Paul, 7,300, also another great value. 7,300 is too cheap against this Phoenix team. I love all these guys, and the spread scares me. Eric Bledsoe, 7,200. Price comes down after dropping a 60 burger. He gets Atlanta. If we get news that Giannis is out, Bledsoe quickly becomes one of my favorite plays on the slate. Right now, he's already one of my favorite plays on the slate just because of the matchup against Atlanta. But if Giannis is in, obviously he's going to get less shots, yes, less overall production and usage. Mitchell Robinson, 7,100 against Washington. Completely fine. Not much to say there. I like him. He's projected, I believe, for above 40 points for me right now, which is a bold and bare projection. But if he plays 35 minutes, which I have him in for today, or actually I might only have him in for 34, I don't see why he does not get there. Alfred Payton, 7K. Price coming down in another spot to target in this Sacramento-New Orleans game, followed up by De'Aaron Fox, price 6,900, Bagley, 68, and Buddy Hield, who's way too cheap at 68. Ranking these guys, it would be Fox, Buddy Hield, and then Bagley for me from that Sacramento side. And to rank the New Orleans guys again, it would be number 1, Julius Randle, number 2, Alfred Payton, and then number 3, Jahlil Okafor. Cousins at 6,800. The only interest that I really have on the Golden State side, matchup is just too good. Even if he plays limited minutes, he is rested. He should get maybe 28 today. Josh Jackson, 6,700. Price has quickly come up, but again, he's still the only guy out there who's going to shoot the ball. You have Rashawn Holmes back, so more production will be lost, but will there really be? Because Ray Spalding went for a 50 burger in the last game. Holmes is a decent play. Not much to go in depth with there. Mario Hezonja, you can read the rest pretty much. Hezonja I like. Sterling Brown I like the matchup. Plumlee we talked about in depth. We talked about Trey Lyles in depth. Grayson Allen, Gary Harris, all these guys. Monty Morris. Just all the value on Denver today is immense. Michael Green is value because he should start for Gallinari, who is questionable. And Jay Crowder should start today for the injured Derek Favors if he does start. He's questionable, but if he plays, or if he's probable, he will start for the 4. That is a lot. This is probably going to be one of my longest videos, but thank you for watching. Hit me with a like button. Hit me up if you have any more questions. The 5-game slate, you can take a screenshot right here of that target offense sheet. Sorry I did not break it down. It just would have been a lot. But I'm going to try and get this video up. I'm going to go live for anybody who is out there. So yeah, thank you for watching. My name's Sal. Best of luck, everybody. You already know my name. Peace out.